Well, good morning. And today is the time to think about St. Nicholas. There was a real St. Nicholas with a wonderful name that puts two Greek words together. Nika means winner, and Laos means people. And he was famous for his kindness to people. He lived in the 4th century down in the corner of what now is called Turkey, but was once called Phrygia, one of many little countries down there. And the church building that was his place still stands. It's made of stone. I've been near there, and when I got to that corner in the bus, it had a sign pointing, Santa Claus Town, and written in bad English. After all, it's Turkey, and they speak Turkish over there. Well, anyway, I'm going to tell you about St. Nicholas. There was a real St. Nicholas in the 4th century, and he was famous for his kindness to the poor people. Like when people would bring their offerings to church, the way people do now, he would see that some of the offering went to the poorest people who needed the most help. So I guess we'd have to say he was a nice guy, and also a bishop in the church. Well, as the story of St. Nicholas traveled and went west, it was no longer a Greek-sounding name, Nikolaos. It became a name that they would pronounce in Italian and Spanish and French. And the way they say it over there is San Nicolas. What? San Nicolas? Oh my goodness sakes. It sure sounds different, doesn't it? And then the story got up into Holland, and I don't know how it made that change, but it became Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas, yeah. Well, from there it came to America, to a little town called New Amsterdam, a Dutch colony run by the Dutch East Indies Company, but the British beat them out, and it became New York. And so the story of St. Nicholas landed in New York. Now, the kids over at St. Benedict's School will probably make something out of this day, because the 8th of December is when they celebrate the memory of the real St. Nicholas. And back when they had 8th grades there some years ago, they'd have me come over to dress up like St. Nicholas, who was a really churchy sort of guy, and so he'd put on churchy garments. So that's how St. Nicholas got to America. But after that, things really changed. Now, St. Nicholas came from a place, and I've been down there, where they grow a lot of oranges. It's sort of like Southern California, where he came from. And they grew so many oranges there that when I was there for a few days, I saw oranges floating in the river. Trucks would load up with oranges and drive through the night up to Istanbul, where we were living, and there they'd sell them right off the truck, and sometimes lemons. So oranges would be a better symbol than a snowball of the real St. Nicholas. So how did it all change? Well, there was a guy about 150 years ago, I can't remember his name, who wrote a famous poem. And it went like this. Let's see now if I can remember it. was the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. And Ma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap, when out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. I tore to the window to open the sash, and the moon on the crest of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. And then he saw, coming across the sky, a guy in a sleigh, and all bundled up. And he had 8 little reindeer, and he was hollering on Donner, on Blitzen, on, all the names of the rainbow, all the names of the reindeer. Donner and Blitzen, and I can't remember them all. Anyway, there were eight little reindeer, and then he came up on the roof of the house, and all of a sudden, down the chimney he came. And what did he have? Presents for the children. And that's why children still hang a stocking by the fireplace. Yep, it all started that way. Well, he really came from a place sort of like Southern California, and a part of the world where they only have 2 seasons. Mostly, half the season is when you get some rain, and the other half of the season when you don't. We have 4 seasons, and where we live, it tends to be sort of cold. So after all that, all of a sudden we have a whole lot of songs about St. Nicholas, who now has become Santa Claus. Up on the housetop, reindeer paws, out jumps good old Santa Claus, down through the chimney with lots of toys, all for the little ones' Christmas joys. Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on the housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney comes the good Saint Nick. First comes the stocking of little Nell. Oh, dear Santa, fill it well. Give her a dolly that laughs and cries. None will open or shut her eyes. Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on the housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney with good Saint Nick. Next comes the stocking of little Will. Oh, just see what a glorious fill. There is a hammer and lots of tacks, also a ball and a whip that cracks. Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on the housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney with good Saint Nick. Do you suppose you remember singing that? Now, I remember singing these songs when I went to these little one-room schools in the country. And then here's another one. Jolly old St. Nicholas, lean your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm going to say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now, you dear old man, whisper what you'll bring to me. Tell me if you can. When the clock is striking 12, when I'm fast asleep, down the chimney broad and black, with your pack you'll creep. All the stockings you will find hanging in the row. Mine will be the shortest one, you'll be sure to know. Johnny wants a pair of skates, Susie wants a sled, Nellie wants a picture book, yellow, blue, and red. Now I think I'll leave to you what to give the rest. Choose for me, dear Santa Claus, you will know the best. Oh, isn't that a nice little song? Well, somehow or other, we got St. Nicholas way up north. Yep. And so we had to keep on until finally we had him at the North Pole. And we got this little song, I don't know how long ago, 30, 40 years. Let's see, it goes, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw him, you would even say it glows. Then one frosty Christmas night, and then he appointed Rudolph to be the 9th reindeer to lead the rest of them. And by that time we had Santa Claus way up at the North Pole. Well, that sure is a long way from where they grow oranges, isn't it? And there are other things that kind of happen. Oh, the story of Jesus wasn't connected to Christmas until really about the time of Martin Luther. And here is an old song that the Germans would sing. O Tannenbaum, O Tannenbaum, wie treu bist deine Blätter. O Tannenbaum, O Tannenbaum, wie treu sind seine Blätter. How true are your branches, because the Tannenbaum is the evergreen tree. And when everything else freezes and gets white and cold, the evergreen trees stay green. And that makes them special. Now, before we called it Christmas, it was called Yule. And there are people who say Glad Yule. Up in Norway, they say Glad Yule. Let's see if I can find a good song about that. Oh, I think we've got one in here. I think we've got one. Let's see. It's all about Here We Come a Caroling is one of them, and then there's this one about the holly and the ivy, because the holly and the ivy over in England, they stay green. Deck the hall with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. Yule was that time of the year when things are getting cold, and you hope they don't get any colder. And over in Norway, where my people came from, they don't say Merry Christmas, they say Glad Jul. Yes, it was a kind of a celebration of the fact that things are getting colder, and pretty soon it will change to New Year. So all this is about things that didn't really start with St. Nicholas, didn't even really start with Jesus, but started with a celebration of something called Yule. And I have a couple of Norwegian friends who still say Glad Jul. Now it's kind of funny, kind of interesting to see the foods that we make to celebrate. I don't know if we have oranges. No, I don't think so. We have these very special recipes. Now, in my family, where most of the ancestors came from Norway, we have lutefisk and lefse, gammelost and sill, and Swedish meatballs. Oh, yeah. And getost, that's goat cheese. And gammelost, that's old cheese. Ooh, that's pretty sharp on the tongue. So we have these special foods that we eat at Christmas time, and maybe only at Christmas time. And so we always make in my house, not this year because we can't get together, and you know why. You know, we have the Swedish meatballs with special gravy, And then my wife came from German background, so we have some special things like, we have anise cookies. They don't have sugar. They're much better for you. And, there was a Apfelkuchen. She would make Apfelkuchen with another person who used to live around here who came from Austria, and they'd make it together. It was made with apples and was put in the oven, and it was huge. It was long, enough to make enough pieces to feed 20 people. So we have all these special foods for the season. Now, we live in the Northland. I wonder what special things they do when you get down south, like in Argentina, in Chile, in Australia, in New Zealand, in South Africa. Because down there, instead of midwinter, it's midsummer. So it must be different down there. We lived for a while in Malta, and they don't have any evergreen trees, but they do have poinsettia trees. Now, we get poinsettias, and they're just little, but they get to be about 12 feet tall. And they have these wonderful blossoms that we like to see, but we have to make them small enough to get in our house. So wherever you go, things change a little bit. All we know is we have to celebrate it. Somehow or another we have to celebrate. And so, not this year because we can't get together, but I would always go out there to Bappy's Tree Farm and get a good spruce, because a spruce has tough enough branches that you can put old-fashioned candles in them. Candles, yep. But this year I won't do it. So we'll have to get along without the candles on the Christmas tree. And it's a mixture of so many things. Well, I'll talk more another time about how the story of Jesus got added into it. And it's kind of important, even though it wasn't there to start with. Oh, and I asked a Norwegian friend of mine, Haldis Kossa. She's over in assisted living, does Santa Claus bring the gifts? Oh, no, it's the Nisse. And I have a granddaughter whose name is Nisse. Yep. And so the Nisse brings the presents, not Santa Claus. And I asked her some other questions, and we learned something once that on Christmas Eve you're supposed to go around inviting the Nisse to come by ringing bells. And I told that to my father one day, and he said, "Oh no, that's to scare away the trolls." Well, who knows what. Anyway, we have to celebrate Christmas sometime or other, somehow or other. And on another day, I'll talk about how we can do it and slip Jesus in. So stay healthy, enjoy good food, and I hope they give you good food to enjoy. And I will see you again, I hope. Well, actually, I don't get to see you, you get to see me. And that's not so good because you're better looking than I am.
Thank you, Pastor Hansen.